Hi everyone, Paul Woods from Adopt and Embrace. Thank you for joining our Microsoft Teams University webinar today. Really great to have you with us. Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, what I'm going to do is walk through a scenario of how you can use Microsoft Teams to run your course, your unit, or your tutorial in your university or TAFE over the next little while. Now, we're not talking about how we perfectly set up for online learning. We're just talking about what are the bare minimum things that we can get going with really quickly to enable some continuity of our experience for our students over the next little while. From my point of view, my background is obviously I run a company focused on adoption and change management for Microsoft Teams, but in a previous life, I was a high degree research student and a sessional academic at a university as well. So I've spent about 2.5 to 3 years teaching in a university context. So hopefully a lot of the lessons learned from today's session can apply to your context as well in your particular university. What I'm going to do is just switch the screen here for a second. And I'm going to go through what we're going to cover in today's session today. So first of all, we're going to create a team in Microsoft Teams to show you how you can do that. Now in your institution, they may be already created for you. So I'm just going to start from scratch in case you have to create your own team in Microsoft Teams. We're going to look at how we structure the team. So how we're going to set up our channels appropriately for the particular course we're going to be delivering. We're going to add some resources to that team to enable our students to access some resources either from our learning management system or from third-party locations around the place. We're then going to set up a recurring video call with that team, so we can have our tutorial or our lecture, every Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to set that up and show you how to do that in Microsoft Teams. And finally, we'll have a little bit of a look at formative and summative assessment. So how can we actually gauge learning that's going on throughout the space as well as we kind of transition to this new way of teaching, or it's a different way of teaching, I should say. So let's get into it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of this PowerPoint presentation here. And then let's go into Microsoft Teams. I might just switch my camera across to the other side. Perfect. All right, so this is the Microsoft Teams interface. For those of you who haven't used Microsoft Teams before, I'll give you a quick run through of what we've got here. So down the left-hand side, this is basically where all the important stuff is happening in terms of how you switch between the different capabilities of Microsoft Teams. Up the top here, we've got a little activity bell here, which will tell you if you've had any notifications or anything coming from the application. So you can quickly triage your work and go and see exactly what you need to look at in the Teams interface. We've got one-on-one chat here, or a small group chat. So if you wanted to set up an individual chat with a student or a colleague in the faculty, again, you can use that chat capability to start a one-on-one or a small group chat with them, which is private from the rest of the what we'll show in a second. Down here is where all the action is really going to happen in Teams, and we'll set up a team, and I'll show you exactly how all that works in a second. So I'll just come back to that a little bit later. Assignments gives us the ability to submit either formal or informal assessment pieces into Microsoft Teams as well. Now again, this may be relevant for your institution, it may not be, but I'll quickly walk you through how the assignments work at the end of this webinar as well. So the first step we're going to do is we wanted to create a team. So where I'm at the moment, I've just clicked on this Teams button here. And this shows me all the teams that I'm a member of, as well as gives me the ability to create a team as well. Now, just to be clear, you may or may not have the ability to create a team yourself, depending on your institution. We're going to assume that you do have that capability here today to set up your particular unit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Create Team. I'm going to create a team for a unit that I'm teaching this semester called Government, Business and Society, which is quite a relevant unit to be teaching at the moment. So I'm going to select the type of team I've got. Now there's 4 different types of teams we could select here. So I'm going to go with the class team here because it's basically I'm going to teach a class using Microsoft Teams. Just for your information though, there are other types of teams we can create here. So if you wanted to create a professional learning community to keep your peers in faculty engaged with each other and continue learning from each other and sharing resources and things like that, I'd absolutely recommend potentially setting up one of these PLCs as well with your peers as well. So we'll go here, click on class. Now I need to give the team a name. So what I'm going to do here is just give it a code and then the name, Government, Business and Society. If you wanted to give a little bit of a description, you could take maybe the synopsis from your unit outline and pop that in there as well to give people an idea of what the unit's all about or the course is all about. Now we've got some settings here to make that team searchable and discoverable. I want to make sure my students can find it, so I'm just going to leave all those settings as they are. And then just behind my head here is the next button. So I'm going to click on that. And now we're starting to create the team. So when we create a team, it's basically giving us a workspace where we can facilitate our learning, which is really great. Now, at the moment, I'm not going to add any students or any other teachers to this team. We could do this manually here if we wanted to. If your school or institution has integrated Microsoft Teams into your student management system, a lot of this activity might have been done for you already. I've seen some institutions where it's automatically adding and removing people as you come up to census date and things like that as enrollments change throughout the year. But we're going to assume just at the moment we're going bare basic manual, no integration. So if we wanted to add our students in here, we just have to either manually add our list of students to the class, or work with IT with a spreadsheet of our students and get them to help us set up the membership of this team as well. We can have multiple teachers and multiple facilitators added to the class. Again, we can just add in those there. So say you're a unit coordinator and you have 5 or 6 sessionals that are working with you to facilitate the course. You can add them in here as teachers. That gives them a little bit of extra permissions to be able to do some things in the team, which we'll walk through in a sec. I'm just going to skip that for now. So here we go. Here is our workspace that we've got. Now, just to give you a little bit of a view of what we have here, walk through what we have. We've obviously got the unit name, so you can see there, BSP 114, Government, Business and Society. Down the left-hand side here, we have channels. Now, at the moment, we just have one channel here, which is the general channel. I'll add a few channels in a second, but the one thing with this general channel, we should have save this general channel for conversations about the unit, or about how we're going to work together in the unit, or all the important announcements about the course or the unit or the tutorial that we're running. Don't try and do any teaching in the general channel. What we want to do is set up topics, or channels based on topic, or channels based on the week of the semester or the trimester, to help structure and group together all the different bits of content that we'll be talking about throughout the learning experience. So what I'll do, I'll quickly create some channels. Now for government, business and society, there's going to be 3 channels we'll start with. We're going to talk about the separation of powers a lot in the first part of the semester. So what I'm going to do is just go to these 3 little ellipses here, which is the more options button. And then down here, I go add channel. Now to add a channel name, I just need to then type in the name of the channel. So in this case, executive will be the first one, executive branch of government. Again, I can add in a description here. And we have a privacy setting as well, so we can make this channel either standard, which means everyone in the team can see it. We can make it private, which means only a few people in the team can see it. I'm going to make this one accessible to everyone in the team, so I'm going to leave that as standard for now. A little bit later on, we'll see if we can have time to play with a private channel in one of the use cases, particularly for that as well. One thing, if it's an important topic, you want to make it sure it automatically shows. So I'm just going to tick this box here to make sure it shows in everyone's channel list, the executive there as well. One quick point before I hit add, to add this channel, any of the channels that you add to the team will all appear in alphabetical order. So if you wanted to map this to weeks throughout the semester or the trimester, or if you wanted to have some kind of order based on the way that you're going to deliver the content, all you need to do is just add, to kind of get that order you want, is just add a 1 at the front of it for this channel, and then the next one you create, put a 2 at the front of it, and the next channel you create, make a 3 in front of it. So that's really important if you wanted to map a journey or have a very particular structure to how you want those channels to appear in the channel. For now, I'm just going to drop that off there, but a good use case you can have there as well. And then the other one that might be useful for you as well, within Windows 10, we actually have an emoji keyboard. If you press the Windows key and the full stop, you see I've got an emoji there. So if I type in what kind of emoji I'm looking for, so maybe govern, oops, try that again. If I keep typing to find one, government, no, can't find a good one. Let's go building, no. Let's just pick a smiley face. Trust me, the search works most of the time. So you can see here, if you wanted to put an emoji at the start of a channel name, again, the smiley face probably not as relevant for the executive branch of government here, but you can add these emojis to those channel names as well, if you wanted to. I'm going to click add to add that channel. So we've got our first channel there, which is for our topic area around the executive branch of government. I'm going to add another one now. I'm going to add another channel. I'm going to make this one legislative. Again, make it standard. I want to make sure that it's visible to everyone. Hit add. I'll add a third one now, which will be judicial. So add channel. And make it and add. So you can see it's really simple to add a channel to your team. And remember, channels are just a really great way for us to group together content around topics or weeks of a semester or something like that to make it easy for our students to engage in conversation and the resources that we're delivering, as well as helping us structure how we might deliver some of the live instruction through meetings within teams as well. So now I've got our so a general channel where we'll talk about announcements that are happening in the unit, and then 3 kind of subject area channels that we've got there as well. As a facilitator, obviously you can add as many channels as you want to. The limit we've got here is about 200 channels that we could add to the team, and you just need to do it by adding channel. What I'd recommend though is don't try and create 200 channels in your team. It's going to be overwhelming for your students. So just maybe pick the core, the core topics you're going to talk about throughout the semester, or just align it to the weeks of instruction. So week 1, week 2, week 3, with a little bit of a descriptive there. So like week 1 could be executive, week 2 could be judicial, week 3 could be legislative, something like that. Within each of the channels, if I go to the executive channel, you can see that we have this conversation window down the bottom here. So I can start adding content to the space if I wanted to. One of the things I'd recommend, you see this little button here with the A and the pen on it, which is the rich formatting button. If you pop that one open, it gives you a few more options here in terms of what you can post in the message. So you can add a subject to the message, this week's content. Now you can make it a new conversation, or you can make it an announcement. This one here is a bit more of an announcement, so I'm going to change that to announcement. And that gives us a bit of a headline here. So I'll go week 3, executive branch. What we can also do here, I'm just going to grab a custom background for this announcement. If I just move my head to the side, I choose an illustration, and I might just pick one that's aligned to a class. Again, you can have a few different types of the backgrounds here. I might go with that one today, and hit done. So we've got a bit more of a visual background there. Now again, you could upload an image to that. So there's like an image potentially of the Prime Minister in this case here. I could potentially put a picture of that Prime Minister there, or something like that. A few other controls you've got here just in terms of how you want to interact with your students. So we can, at the moment, I've got this set to everyone can reply to this message. If I don't want anyone to reply to it, I can just basically say just myself and the rest of the teaching team can reply to this one if I wanted to. And in this case here, I'm happy for my students to reply to the message. So I'm going to click on that one there. One other thing just to be aware of, so if you have content across lots of different channels, like that's relevant across lots of different channels that you've created here, you have the ability to post this message or this announcement into multiple channels. So if you click on post in multiple channels, you can then select the channels you want to put it into. Like I'm going to add it to the judicial and the legislative channels as well. So again, if you've got content that's relevant to all of those, you can do it all at once as opposed to having to put the content into each individual channel individually. Within announcements, you have the ability, or in messages as well, to mention people. So you can use the @ symbol. So just type in @ and then start typing in the names of people. In our demonstration environment, we've got some pretty generic names we would put in there. I haven't added anyone into the team yet, so that's why none of these matches are coming up. If you want to mention someone, they have to be a member of the team in the first place. But if I mention someone, so if I added in your name or someone else's name in that team, when I post this message, this little box up here, the little activity box, would have a little additional symbol there saying, hey, someone's mentioned you in a conversation. Here's the conversation, go have a look at it as well. So it's a great way to get the attention of people that you need in the class. You can do that individually. You can do it by channel, or you can do it by the team itself. So if I went @ BSB 114, you can see that I can mention the entire membership of the team itself, which is pretty cool if you need to get people's attention quickly. Now, I'd recommend you only use that sparingly, only when you really need to get people's attention. Generally, the rule we like to follow is if you want someone to take some kind of time-bound action off the back of that notification, that's the time when you should be using a notification. Don't just use the @ mentions when you're replying to someone's message or something like that. Just use it when you want someone to actually do something. So otherwise, you're going to overwhelm people with notifications throughout the semester as well. All right, so there's a really simple announcement. I'm going to hit the little, get my head to go the right way. That little arrow there in the bottom right-hand corner to post the message. And you can see that that message has been posted into the team. Now your students, they can come back and they can react to it with these emojis at the top here. So thumbs up or love heart or smiley face. They might be worried about the assessment. I'll just go a thumbs up for now. And you can see who actually gave the thumbs up by clicking on, putting your mouse over that reaction as well. So you can see what engagement you're getting from particular students in the class, which is great to see. Right, what I might also do is just continue with the setup of our team. Now we've posted a little bit of a message into that channel. I'm going to go up here. I'm just going to edit the team picture just by moving over that picture there. Go edit. I'm going to set this class up. First, I'm going to make sure the grade level is appropriate. So this one's going to be post-secondary. And the subject, business, is a bit of a social science one. So I'm going to line that up to social sciences. And what that gives us is some images that relate to some of the content we'll talk about in social sciences potentially. In this case here, I'm going to go with the scales of justice for this one. And then just hit update in the bottom right hand corner. And there we go, there's a kind of a look at kind of government, business and society-ish kind of icon. Again, you could upload your own icons there if you wanted to as well, to create a little bit more of a richer experience for your students to understand exactly what you're talking about in the class itself. All right, so we've got our team set up now. We've got our channels on the left-hand side to help us structure the content we're going to talk about during the unit or the tutorial that we're delivering. We've given it an image to make sure it looks like something similar to what we're talking about. We've got a really clear name for the team so everyone understands exactly what's going to be going on in here. So let's actually start adding some resources or creating some resources that can go into this particular unit. Now, if you have existing resources already in your learning management system, or you have a page within your learning management system, quite a few of the learning management systems now start to have some integrations in the Microsoft Teams to enable you to bring that content directly into the team space as well. If the worst case scenario, I guess, where that integration isn't set up, we have the ability to use a tab within Microsoft Teams. Now, these tabs are here across the top of the screen. And you can see there's a few different tabs we've got set up here, like class notebook. There's assignments and grades tabs we've got set up, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But what I'm going to do now is just press the plus sign to create a new tab. And one of my favorite tabs you have available in Teams is the website tab. And the website tab allows you to add content for basically any website that starts with HTTPS. So if your learning management system's online and it starts with HTTPS at the start of the URL, you can deep link directly to the unit page or the course page within Blackboard or Moodle or whichever learning management system that you're using as well, Canvas and a few others. So what we can do is just give the tab a name. So I'm going to call this, learning at uni page, which could be the what we call the LMS, like learning at uni, learning at insert your name here page. And then we just need to put the URL in of the actual address. So I'll just https://www.unit lmsaddress.com, actually edu.au/PSB14. So imagine that's our address for that particular unit page. I'm sure it's going to be a lot more complicated than that in reality. Now you can post a message about you adding this channel to the, you can post a message about you adding this tab to the channel within the conversation as well. I'm just going to turn that off for now because I don't want to overwhelm my students with lots of stuff to start with at the start of the semester, and just hit save. Now that website doesn't actually work, so I'll probably get an error message because I just made up the URL. But if you just put your URL in there for your particular learning management system unit page, you can see all the resources that are available there. The other thing we can do, I'm just going to go into the executive channel for now and do this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create some content quickly that I want to deliver this week. So I'm going to do build my lecture notes for week 3, the executive branch here within Teams as well. So what I'm going to do is go to Files up at the top here, one of the tabs. And every one of the teams that we create, we have the ability to basically have a document repository in the background that allows us to add content to the team that everyone in the team gets access to. And we can work with content in there as well to update it, create it, so on and so forth, without having to email backwards and forwards different, PowerPoint presentations or, Word documents or spreadsheets or things like that as well. So what I'm going to do here in the team, I'm going to create a new PowerPoint presentation for this week. I'm going to go here to new. I'm just going to use a drop down and go to PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to call it week 3 and hit create. All right, so we can see that PowerPoint Online is actually opened up within Teams itself. I don't have to go and open up PowerPoint on a different application. So if I was editing a document as an example, it's really easy to come in here and make those quick changes without having to go into PowerPoint itself to do it. I'm going to click there, the title, BSB 114, go week 3, executive branch. I should call it separation of powers. Let's do that. All right, and then we could add in a new slide. I'm just going to right click, new slide. Again, you can see this is all happening within Teams. We've just basically brought in PowerPoint online directly in here. So you can quickly get content in here. Week 3 overview. We'll just quickly go executive, judicial, actually go legislative next, legislative, judicial. Okay, 3 branches of government. There we go. Now there's a pretty boring looking presentation there. Now you can see here, it's kind of showing me a few ideas of how I could change those slides, which look pretty good. One of the limitations I've discovered is, oh, actually it's going to work today. Last night when I did this, it wasn't doing that at all, which is great. Well, now I can do that all in here. I don't need to open up the application at all. Perfect. Right, so when I go back here, I'm going to change the cover page as well to make it look a bit better. Let's go with, I might change the content and see if I can get a few other ideas to come up. So I'm just going to change that and go government, business and society. Let's click off those and see what ideas come up. There's no new ones there. Last night, every now and then when you play with this, you get some interesting ideas come up. Last night I had a picture of a government building show up as one of the backgrounds I could have used. For now, we'll just use this one here as the image. Oh, I was doing what it was doing to me last night. So sometimes within this PowerPoint view, sometimes these ideas work, sometimes they don't. To make it work properly, what I'm going to do is just go open it up in the desktop app, which will open up PowerPoint. And again, if you're comfortable just working in PowerPoint or Word or Excel on these particular documents, then you can do all that work within PowerPoint itself. The applications that you're used to, you don't have to do it within Teams as well. So you can see here, here's that same file that we're working on in Teams. Again, we're still working on the same file. It's still the same file in that file storage in the background in SharePoint Online. What I'm going to do is just hit design ideas, and then here's let's see a few others here. Let's go with that one because it's got a bit of an icon for a government building on it. So very quickly I can pull together some interesting looking content just based off the raw text that I put into those slides as well. Now you can see how it's got autosave turned on, which means that that was automatically saving back into the team when I was working on it. So I can just close this PowerPoint presentation now. And then I can go back to Teams. Let's click on Teams and close that dialog box. And when it refreshes, we'll just see the that updated content that we had within, there we go. So there's slides that we worked on there. A few other choices are coming up now. We've started saying what we wanted to look at. So there's a few others that we can go back and edit that over time if we wanted to as well. But we've got a content together, which is great. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go back into the team. And then I'm going to actually share this content with my students. So what I'm going to do is go into the executive branch channel. And then I'm going to do a content. So rich editor, I'm going to go slides for this week. Have a read through this content before our class later today. Now, all I'm going to do now is just use the attach button to attach those to the message. Because it's already in the team, I just need to go to Browse Teams and Channels. I'm going to select the week 3 content and share a link. Oh, get my head to go the right way. There we go. And you can see that I've basically shared a link to that file that was in that file storage behind the scenes. I'm just going to post the message into the channel, and there you go. So I've shared some content with my students. Now again, students can come in here and react to that content if they like to. You could start conversations about that content here as well, just conversations about that particular piece of content there. Say, I just added one more slide to the pack about separation of powers. And so you can kind of have a running commentary around those particular files or resources that you're adding to the channel as well. Now you don't just need to create the content within Microsoft Teams like I did there. If you've got existing resources you want to upload to a message, again, you can use the attach button there. You can upload directly from your computer or from the files that you might already have in your OneDrive as well. So you can get content into the space nice and quickly, so students get access. Students can get access to that content as well, which is great. Another way we can add resources to a team is by adding one of these tabs as well. So just like before when we added our learning management system resources as a tab, we can use that same browser tab or website tab to add in resources from other locations as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly open up my browser, open up Edge, and I've got one bookmarked here, which we can use. All right, so if I go to the this website here, it's the Parliamentary Education Office for the Australian Parliament, and they've got a few resources here that I wanted to add to our team as well. So again, this could be for any online resources that you have a license to use or able to use in your teaching. So I'm going to go teaching, I'm going to go education resources. And there's a particular interactive quiz I wanted to add to this space. So I'm just going to go down here and find our separation of powers interactive quiz, which again, I could send people, the students, the link to go and do this on the website. But what I'm going to do is actually add in this quiz as a tab at the top of the team. So all I need to do is just grab this address. You can see because it starts with HTTPS, it's a secure website, we can add this to our team. So I'm just going to copy that, minimize that now, go back to Teams. And then I'm going to add a browser tab at the top by pressing on that plus sign, hitting the website one, and I'll go separation of powers quiz. Copy and paste the URL in. And this one I want to post to the channel that I've added it for the students. So I'm just going to hit save. And we should see there's a new tab at the top there. And then you can see that website that we're just looking at in Edge is actually coming into Teams as well. So the students don't need to go on outside of the learning space to go and get access to these particular resources. And the students can come in here and start their quiz around the separations of powers. So there you go. Nice and easy way to put that in there. Now if I go back to posts, you can see that I've added the channel to the top. So it does a little bit of announcement saying the quiz is there. And I could say, I would just reply to this if I click the right button. So I might mention the team, BSB, so get everyone in the unit to get a notification about it. This quiz will help you understand the separation of powers. Try it this week. I'm just going to get my spelling right, so just right click on that, separation, and then I'll post that one into the channel as well. So you can see very quickly as a teaching team, we can add commentary around this. Our students can reply to these messages and ask questions, and we can answer those questions all around that particular bit of content that we have there as well. So now we've structured our team, we've got our channel set up there to kind of group all the content together. We've added some resources to the team to enable our students to engage with some kind of learning content. So now let's actually set up a meeting so we can engage our students in some face-to-face instruction using video in the space as well. Now, each one of these channels that we have here, we can set up one or more meetings related to these particular channels or the content that we're working on here as well. So we don't need to have it all in just one general channel or just in one classroom. We can make these meetings occur in any one of these channels that we've set up here as well. The beauty of that means that your instruction or your conversation that you're having with the students live is in the context of all the other content and resources and conversations that have occurred around that particular topic or that particular week throughout the semester as well, which makes it really easy. One of the other great things we can do with Teams is we can record the content. So we can record our tutorial or record our lecture, and that recording will automatically go into the channel that you host the meeting on. So if you're having a tutorial or running a lecture around the executive branch, make sure you set up the meeting in that channel so the recording, when you actually set it to record, ends up in that exact same location as well. So it's with all the other resources about that particular topic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go create this meeting. Now, if we didn't want to schedule it, we just wanted to do it straight away, we could just hit this button at the top here, which is the Meet Now button. And if I just click that now in the executive branch, just to show you what happens, we could go Meet Now and kick off that meeting with all our students right now. So anyone who's logged in, say we've all come together at the right time, hit that, and then everyone's teams will start dialing and people can come into the call. What we want to do though is schedule a meeting because we don't want to do it right now. So I'm going to go hit Schedule Meeting. And then what I can do here is select a time where I want it to occur. So I want it to be today. Let's do it in 20 minutes time at 9:30. Now, if I wanted to make this a repeating meeting, say you wanted to have set up one meeting for the entire semester and have it as a recurring appointment, just like we can in Outlook, we can set up a recurring appointment in Teams. To do that, just click on this Do Not Repeat button, and we can say we want to do every week, and it's at this particular time, like this particular time, or every Monday at that particular time. But this one here, I'm just going to put Do Not Repeat for now. But yeah, if you have recurring tutorials, that would make a lot more sense to do it as a repeating one. Now it's going to take place in that executive channel, so any of the content we record or any of the conversations that we have around this meeting, either text-based conversations or the recording, will all go into that one channel so we can keep all that content together, which is great. So this title here, I'm going to call it Week 3 Separation of Powers, Executive Branch. Because we're hosting it in this channel, we don't need to add any required attendees. Basically, anyone who's a member of the team that has that channel showing on the screen will get the appointment in their Outlook calendar. But if there's anyone that you wanted to specifically make sure was there, you could type in students' names or teaching teams' names as well if you wanted to as well. But it's basically optional because we're doing it within the channel that's there. For location, you could put in Teams meeting. But this is basically for a world. Remember the old days when we actually went to a physical campus and we did stuff there. This is if we wanted to put a room from our room list in there as well, or you can put or your home study. Cool. All right. Now what we can do here is put in our agenda, what we're going to cover in the session, just like we do with a normal Outlook appointment, and then we can hit send. Just one quick one here. We've got the scheduling assistant as well, if you're familiar with that with Outlook. So if you wanted to check if your teaching team was available for this particular session, you could click on the scheduling assistant, and as long as you've added them into that attendee list there, you'd be able to see what their availability is and make a time that works for you and the rest of your teaching team as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is just hit send to set that one up. And what we'll see in a moment is that we should have a scheduled appointment appear in that channel. There we go. It's right in front of me. I'm staring at the wrong thing. So you can see here we've scheduled a meeting in this channel. It's the week 3 separation of powers session. It's going to happen on Monday 30th at 9:30 a.m. Now, when it comes to 9:30 a.m., what your students can do is a few different things. They can just come into Teams here and click on that button there. And that will basically give them all the meeting joining information. They just have to click join and off they go. Because we created this, we can edit it at the moment. They won't have those editing powers themselves. The other thing they could do is go to their Outlook calendar. This will appear in their Outlook calendar. So they can just click on that and then join the meeting that way. And then if they have Teams on their mobile phone, they can get access to the meetings in there as well. So it doesn't just have to be through their computer or through their MacBook or whatever device they have in front of them. If they have the Teams app installed on their mobile phone, and they can basically see the calendar view on their mobile phone and join if they're in between things on the bus or at the different end of the house during quarantine or other things like that as well. So it makes it nice and easy for students to engage in that particular content. To kick off the meeting, again, I'll just click into there as a facilitator. I'll just hit join. You're going to see a great webcam view of my roof based on the device I've got just here in front of me. So there's a light that's just above me. I'm going to turn the webcam off just by pressing that button there. You can play with your microphone settings as well to make sure you can actually be heard during the session as well. Change which microphone you're using by clicking on PC mic and speakers. And then the other option you've got here is something called blur background. So if say you're working from home and you didn't want people to see yourself, so if I put my head over like that, hello everyone. If I turn my blur background on, it'll take away all the background noise or washing or other bits and pieces that are happening behind me in my room that I'm delivering the workshop in as well. So if you're teaching from home for the first time and you're worried about people seeing the space that you're in, that background blur option is a really great option to use as well. Your students can use that too if they're turning on the webcam, if they're worried about the space that they're in too. So make sure they're aware of that background blurring feature. If I hit join now, I'll just turn the microphone off so we don't pick up any noise. Join now. All right, now I'm in that space. You can see there's my camera is just pointed in the wrong direction. There's my hand just to show that it's live and it's real. Now, say I wanted to deliver a lecture or share my screen. And what I can do is just click on this sharing button here. And then I can share any application that I've got open on the desktop. I can share my screen, or I can share a browser, or I can share a PowerPoint presentation as well. So what I want to do, I'm going to share that week 3 presentation with everyone. That's already loaded up here in the team. So I'm just going to click on that one. And then my slides would be shared with the group. You can see my camera goes to the bottom right-hand corner. Let's see, there's me in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, I can turn that camera off if I want to, just by pressing the camera off button. If I turn it on and I want to switch between different cameras, I've got like the front or the back camera on the particular device. I can just use that switch camera button there in the bottom right-hand corner as well. So you can see here's our slides. I can move forward and backwards through the slides just like I would in any other presentation I'm delivering. But one of the really important things I want to do here is make sure that we're recording the session, because some of our students couldn't make it along today because they don't have access to the device at the right time, and plus they've got other things going on in their lives obviously at the moment. So to turn on that, what we're going to do, if I just go back a second, my apologies. I'm just going to click on the three ellipses here, the More Actions button. And you can see here, we've got a few options here. So Start Recording is one of them. So I'm going to hit Start Recording. And that will basically start the recording of the session. It's always great to just make sure you tell your students that you are recording the session. They'll get a little bar across the top saying that they're being recorded as well, so you can't avoid not telling them. I'm just going to dismiss that for now. And the other thing we can do is add captions as well. So it's not going to work in this demonstration because I don't have the microphone set up on this machine that I'm doing the demo on. But if I click on Turn on Live Captions, that'll do live captioning of the content as I'm delivering it as well, which is really great if you're expecting your students to work on their devices in terms of, on the bus or in public transport, in a public area, or a space where they might be in a lounge room with family members in the current context, and they can't have their sound up loud to actually hear the content that you're delivering. So turning on those live captions is a nice, easy way to do that as well. And they'll just appear at the bottom here, except they just won't occur in this space at the moment. Actually, let me just try it, see if I can do it without any planning if I unmute that. And I'll see if any of the content's coming through. So it's reasonably accurate, which is great. Perfect. So you can see you can get some live captioning in your content. Again, it's not going to be 100% accurate. I like to say like 80% of the time it works every time. But it's a nice way to add some richness to your instruction, particularly for those people that can't hear audio-wise or have trouble with hearing, or English is potentially a second language or something like that as well. We just deliver the content that way. Then when we're done, all we need to do, we can either just hit stop recording to stop the recording. And then we can just exit out of the meeting by pressing the hang up button just there. Then when we go back into the team, what you'll see is that there was our session that we delivered, the separation of powers, that was the appointment. Within the threaded conversation about that particular appointment, you can see that there was a meeting that took place. In this case, it went for 4 minutes and 25 seconds. There was one attendee, but you'd see all the different attendees appear there as well. And then in a few minutes time, what we'll see is the recording of that session appear here within the team as well. So it's a great resource we've just created for everyone else who either wants to replay that session or get access to that conversation that we might have had with our students this week as well. And what I love about this, it just all integrates into the flow of the conversation about that particular topic. So it's not off in a separate system where you have to go and find it and then share the link back in, and then students need to switch in and out of particular systems that you might have across the university or across the TAFE. It's just all in the one location, which makes it nice and easy to work with. So we've done our scheduled call. A few other quick things we want to do now. We're going to run a session a little bit later today that has a little bit more detail in terms of how you can do some of these things we're about to show you now. But I want to create a simple poll just to gauge people's understanding of that course that we just did then, or that conversation that we just had there. So what I'm going to do, I can just go down here and start a conversation. Now, if you don't see it on your screen, you just need to click on those three dots there, but I've already got it up on my screen, which is this little poll option here. So again, if you don't see that little poll, which is a clipboard with a graph on it, if I click on the three dots there, it should appear in the list here in terms of apps that you might have access to. So I'm going to create a simple poll, and this one here will just be a simple poll question. How many branches of government are there? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now this one here, I can say it's due in a week, results visible to everyone. You can change those settings if you want to. This is the simplest way to put a simple poll in place. These ones here, you wouldn't necessarily pre-prepare. You could just create it like that and then post into the team. And you can see what it would look like. I just need to scroll my screen down to hit send. That gives you a chance to look at it before you actually post it, which is great. I hit send, and then that will post that into that channel. And you can see here's our new poll. So how many branches of government are there? And the students can come in here and go, oh, it's 1, I think it's 3. So hit 3, hit submit vote. And then their result is added, and then as a lecturer or a sessional academic, you can come in here and view the result, and you can see the different results that came in on a little graph here as well. And you can download the results too if you want to as well. So a nice, quick and easy way to gauge understanding of content using that poll tool. There's a few other options to go a little bit deeper. We can actually use the assignments capability on the left-hand side here to create assignments that specifically score or rate some of these responses as well. What I'll do, I'll quickly give you a quick overview of assignments just for now, but I'm just conscious that we're going to go into a lot more detail in one of the other sessions as well. So I'm just going to click on assignments. Actually, click there. Now I need to choose a class that I'm teaching, so that's the one class I'm teaching today. I'll go there, hit next. And once it loads, I'll then be able to create some kind of quizzes or assignments themselves. So I won't do just a quiz for now. I'm going to go get started. I want to create a quiz. And one of the perils of working from home is I'm in the garage at home, and I think the rubbish truck is just about to go past. So one of the things we're all going to have to get used to if we're teaching from places we're not normally used to teaching. So apologies for the background noise that's coming through at the moment. All right, so let's go. I'm going to create a new form. And then within the form service, I can create that form as well. I'm just going to sign in with my account. So okay, hopefully I've spelled that correctly. A watched login screen takes a lot longer than it should. All right, and I don't want to do that. So just get rid of that box there. And hopefully in your institution that should have just been seamless, which is great. Now what I'm going to do is just create a new quiz. I'm going to call this quiz. So it's going to be week 3 separation of powers. And then I'll just change my zoom here. I've got it zoomed in so you can make it really clear on your screen, but I'll zoom it out a bit just to make it a bit easier to work with. There we go. So then we can add some questions to this quiz. So this one could be multiple choice, free text if you wanted to get some more qualitative responses from your students. If you use drop-down box, there's a few other options there like at scales or ranking these in particular orders or other bits and pieces that you might have there as well. You can have different sections if you want to make a really complex quiz too. So what I'll do, just a really simple one here to start with. I'll do a text-based one. What are your thoughts about the separation of powers? Whoops. Get my spelling right. We'll probably think of a much more compelling question than that one for our students, but then we can just have it there, enter their answer there. Again, if I just scroll down, I'm going to have a few other bits here like, is it a long answer or is it a required answer? And this one here, I want a long answer. I want it to be required. And there's a maximum of like 10 points for this question. The next one is, it's a choice. So how many branches of government are there? Let's do that simple one here. 1, 2. And then we'll add a third option, which is 3. That is the correct answer, 3. To get this one right, you get 5 points. There's no multiple answers for this one, so it's nice and easy. And then we'll just leave it like that. So again, you can quickly put together your quiz for your students. There's a maximum of 15 points available based on that response. We can make this look a little bit prettier by changing our theme. So my daughters insisted that I use this one because it looks like a bit like working from home at the moment. But you could have that based on your branding for your institution, your colors and other bits and pieces like that. So there's a quiz. Now we can preview that. You can see what it would look like once the students look at it. What I love about this is the immersive readers built into a lot of this. So if you wanted to put your mouse over a question, you can actually load up the immersive reader to read that question to your students as well, which is great. And it's also mobile responsive. So if the students are working on their mobile phones, they can click through their mobile phone, and you can see this kind of experience that they would get there through the mobile phone as well. Now, as the students fill in that quiz, once we set it up in Teams, so I'll just minimize that, go back to Teams now. Now we've set it up our quiz. I'm going to go create quiz. I'm going to search for that form, which is that week 3 separations of powers form we just built. I'm going to go next. And there's a quiz there. There's 15 points possible. It's assigned to all students. The due date is tomorrow at midnight, which is great. And I could save that as a draft if I wanted to, if I was working on it. I could put in some extra instructions here if I wanted to put instructions in there to kind of give more context to what it is. Maybe map it to categories in terms of the topics that we might be talking about through the semester as well. But in this case, I'm just going to hit assign to assign it to students straight away, excuse me. And once that's assigned, there'll be a little notification that goes out to every student saying, hey, there's a new quiz or a new bit of assessment that's been shared within the team as well. So it shouldn't take this much longer. Fingers crossed. And then all those notifications should start to appear. And normally it's a lot faster than this. I'm not quite sure why it's taking a little bit longer today. Things are happening. There we go, it's assigned. And if we saved it as a draft, it would appear in this drafts list here, but we've got that assigned. Once students have filled it in and we've done the grading on some of the questions, they'll come through in the graded list here as well, which makes it nice and easy to submit some assessment to students. And you can see there that there's been a notification in the team. So I click on the team. If I go to the general channel, which is going to post about all our assessment, you can see that here's the assignment that's been submitted. And if I had the instructions there, it would all kind of appear there. So students get notified of it straight away. And then in your activity feed, you'll get a little mention there as well saying, hey, there's been a new assignment set in this group. So there you have it. Like in the last 35, 40 minutes, what we've been able to do is to basically create a learning space for ourselves and our students to work with. We've been able to structure it in a way that aligns to how we want to teach the unit in terms of different topic areas we wanted to focus on in that particular space. We've been able to add resources and create new resources to enable our students to look at that content as well. We've been able to set up and schedule a live instruction using the video calling capabilities of Microsoft Teams to get our students on a call and talk to them as well. And then finally, we've been able to gauge their learning in some way using polls and quizzes in Microsoft Teams as well. Now, one of the key things when you go to shifting into a new way of teaching using Microsoft Teams is you need to be conscious of your own time management as well. So one of the things you can get stuck in is getting very stuck into the conversations in Teams all the time. Make sure you're setting yourself some boundaries in terms of when you want to engage in the space and when you don't want to engage in the space, and make sure your students are aware of those expectations as well. So you're not getting random messages or people expecting responses from you late at night or early in the morning or anything like that. Best of luck with your transition to teaching in Microsoft Teams. We've got another session coming up shortly, which will focus on how to basically proctor in Microsoft Teams as well. So how do you gauge evidence of learning? How do you run examinations and other bits and pieces like that? So make sure you come back and join me for that video as well. Talk soon. Bye.